The Pacific Ocean stretches endlessly, a vast blue wilderness concealing mysteries and dangers beneath its shimmering surface. Off the northeastern coast of Australia, the ocean reveals its most dazzling secret, the Great Barrier Reef, a living tapestry of colour and complexity. Here, beneath the waves, millions of coral polyps, tiny, soft-bodied architects, have built a sprawling metropolis over millennia. Their limestone skeletons interlock, forming intricate towers, arches, and labyrinthine passageways, each teeming with a kaleidoscope of marine life. From the heavens, the reef appears as a delicate turquoise necklace, its patterns winding and looping along the edge of the continental shelf, a natural wonder visible even from space. Yet beneath this beauty lies a world of peril. The reef's allure is matched only by its danger, for its structure is a living maze, constantly shifting, growing and reshaping itself with the tides and the years. The reef's shallow waters are a tangled web of razor-sharp coral branches and hidden outcrops. These natural fortresses rise just beneath the surface, invisible to the untrained eye, waiting in silence. The labyrinthine passages twist and turn with sudden drop-offs and dead ends. The water above may seem calm and inviting, but just below, the coral's jagged teeth lie in wait, ready to ensnare anything that ventures too close. Stretching for over 1,000 miles, the Great Barrier Reef is not a single continuous structure, but a vast network of nearly 3,000 individual reefs and 900 islands, each with its own unique hazards. The coral grows upward, reaching for the sunlight, forming a maze of narrow channels and shallow lagoons. In some places, the reef rises so close to the surface that only a thin veil of water separates it from the open air. What appears to be a safe, open expanse can, in an instant, become a deadly trap. The water's clarity is deceptive, masking the sudden emergence of coral heads that can tear through anything that passes above. The channels that wind through the reef are narrow and unpredictable, shaped by the relentless growth of coral and the shifting sands of the ocean floor. Currents swirl and eddy, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce, always changing with the tides and the weather. The seascape is in constant motion. Coral grows, dies, and is reborn, creating new hazards and erasing old ones. The currents carve new paths, while storms and waves rearrange the landscape in a matter of hours. In this world, a sudden storm can transform tranquil waters into a churning cauldron. Lightning flashes, waves crash, and the reef's sharp edges become even more treacherous, ready to claim anything caught in their grasp. The statistics of destruction are staggering, a testament to the reef's hidden power. Over the centuries, the reef has become a graveyard for countless vessels. Each wreck tells a story of nature's dominance, as coral slowly envelops and consumes the remains, turning tragedy into new life. The seabed is littered with the skeletons of ships, their hulls twisted and broken, now home to swaying sea fans and darting fish. The reef reclaims all, transforming destruction into creation. The jagged coral acts as both executioner and undertaker, breaking apart the strongest hulls and then weaving them into the living tapestry of the reef. The remains are diverse: massive liners, sturdy warships, and humble fishing boats, all reduced to silent monuments, their stories written in rust and coral. Over time, wooden beams decay and metal hulls rust, but the coral continues to grow, wrapping the wreckage in a shroud of living colour. The boundary between what was built and what was born blurs as the reef absorbs all into its embrace. Today, the Great Barrier Reef is celebrated as a natural wonder, a sanctuary for an astonishing diversity of life. Its coral gardens are home to thousands of species, brilliant fish, graceful rays, and mysterious cephalopods, each thriving in the shelter of the reef's complex architecture. Yet beneath the surface beauty, The reef's other identity endures, a realm of hidden peril, where the line between life and destruction is razor-thin. The Great Barrier Reef is a vast, watery graveyard, its silent depths holding the remains of hundreds of vessels and the echoes of countless untold stories. This duality is what makes the reef so extraordinary, a place where creation and destruction are forever entwined. Here, vibrant life flourishes alongside the remnants of disaster, each feeding the other in an endless cycle. In the Great Barrier Reef, every lush coral garden may conceal the sombre history of catastrophe, and every thriving ecosystem is a testament to the power and mystery of nature's most beautiful and most dangerous masterpiece. In the vast expanse of the Great Barrier Reef, where the Pacific's tides conceal countless secrets, one story lingers in the currents, a tale woven from mystery, tragedy, and the relentless power of nature. The SS Yongala, a marvel of early 20th century engineering, was a vessel of gleaming steel and polished wood, celebrated for her speed and elegance. She was the pride of the Australian coast, a floating testament to human ambition and the era's technological progress. In March of 1911, the Yongala set out on her fateful journey, gliding northward along the Queensland coastline. Her hull sliced through the turquoise waters, passing coral reefs and sandbanks as she ventured into the heart of the Pacific's unpredictable embrace. Over 100 metres in length, the Yongala was a symbol of reliability, her engines humming with the promise of safe passage. Yet beneath her confident exterior, the ocean's ancient forces waited, indifferent to the aspirations of steel and steam. The Pacific, ever-changing and untamed, has shaped the fate of countless vessels. Its moods shift with the wind, and its storms can rise without warning, swallowing even the mightiest ships. As the Yongala pressed onward, a cyclone began to form far out at sea. The sky darkened, clouds thickened, and the wind gathered strength, churning the surface into a heaving, restless expanse. The ship was last glimpsed as a silhouette against the storm, vanishing into the gathering tempest. After that, the ocean reclaimed her, leaving only silence in her wake. No trace remained on the surface, no floating debris, no oil slick, no sign of the vessel's fate. The sea, vast and inscrutable, offered no clues. It was as if the ocean itself had opened a hidden abyss, drawing the Yongala down into its depths, erasing her from the world above. For years the waters were scoured by searchers, but the Pacific's vastness is unforgiving. The Yongala's resting place remained a secret, guarded by the currents and the shifting sands of the seafloor. The mystery deepened, becoming legend. The ship's name echoed through the tides, a ghostly presence in the collective memory of the reef. The silence of the sea became a haunting refrain, a reminder of the ocean's power to both give and take, to conceal and to reveal. The Yongala's legend grew, her story whispered by the waves and carried on the currents, a spectral ship adrift in the imagination of the deep. Decades passed. The world above changed, but beneath the waves the Yongala waited, untouched and unseen, her secrets locked away in darkness. Then, in 1958, the ocean yielded its secret. A fisherman's net, snagged on something unyielding, led to the discovery of the wreck. Her hull, now a canvas for the ocean's artistry. Lying on her side, 62 miles from the coast, the Yongala was astonishingly intact. The currents had preserved her, and the silence of the deep had kept her story safe. The position of the wreck revealed the truth. The Cyclone's path had intersected with the Yongala's, and the ship had been caught in the heart of the storm. Colossal waves, funneled through a gap in the Great Barrier Reef, battered the vessel. The force of the storm was overwhelming, the ocean's fury absolute. In mere minutes the Yongala was overcome, capsizing and sinking before any call for help could be made. The sea claimed her swiftly, leaving no trace on the surface. Yet the story did not end in darkness. Over the decades, the Yongala's steel bones became the foundation for a new world, a thriving oasis in the open sea. The wreck transformed into a living reef, its decks and corridors now home to a dazzling array of marine life. The ocean, in its endless cycle, turned tragedy into abundance. Corals, sponges and sea fans colonized the hull, painting it with vibrant colours. The ship became a sanctuary, a gathering place for creatures great and small. Every inch of steel is now alive, encrusted with the intricate patterns of coral polyps and the delicate forms of marine invertebrates, each one a testament to the ocean's creative force. Giant groupers patrol the shadows, sea snakes weave through the beams, and turtles glide over the decks. Schools of barracuda swirl in shimmering clouds, drawn to the shelter and bounty the wreck provides. The Yongala is now a place of haunting beauty, a living monument to the power of the sea and the resilience of life. Her story is written in coral and current, remembered by every creature that calls her home. In the end, the ocean's silence was not emptiness but transformation. The SS Yongala, once lost to the depths, has become a beacon of life, a reminder that even in the heart of mystery, the sea endures and life finds a way. Beneath the restless waves of the Great Barrier Reef, a silent witness to centuries of maritime drama, lies a story shrouded in mystery and tragedy. This is the tale of the HMS Pandora, a vessel whose fate became forever entwined with the secrets of the deep. The Pandora, a formidable British warship, was dispatched in 1791 on a mission that would etch its name into the annals of naval history. Its journey began with sails billowing against the wind, cutting through the vast Pacific, its hull braced for the unknown. The ship's timbers creaked as it left port, embarking on a voyage that would test the limits of endurance and resolve. The Pandora was not just a vessel of wood and canvas. It was a floating fortress, bristling with cannons and secrets, destined for the farthest reaches of the world. Its decks, polished and orderly, reflected the strict discipline that governed every inch of the ship. The Pandora sailed with a sense of purpose, its mission clear, its resolve unyielding as it scoured the endless blue for signs of its quarry. The ship's journey led it to remote tropical shores, where it anchored in turquoise shallows, its presence casting a long shadow over the coral sands. Here, the Pandora's mission reached a turning point, and the ship's log would soon record a fateful chapter. On its weathered deck, a makeshift wooden cell was constructed, a crude cage fashioned from the ship's own timbers. This cell, exposed to the relentless sun and salt spray, became a symbol of confinement and despair. Measuring just 11 feet in length, the cell was a claustrophobic box, its rough-hewn bars enclosing a world of darkness and heat. The crew gave it a name that would echo through history, Pandora's Box. With the cell secured, the Pandora set a course for home, threading its way through the labyrinthine passages of the Torres Strait. The ship's hull glided perilously close to razor-sharp coral, the reef's hidden teeth lurking just below the surface. The sea here was a living maze, its channels narrowing into twisting corridors of swirling current and submerged danger. The Pandora's journey became a test of navigation, as the ship's keel skirted disaster with every passing moment. On a night shrouded in darkness, with no moon to guide its way, the Pandora pressed onward. The only light came from the stars, reflected in the restless water, as the ship sailed into the unknown. Suddenly, disaster struck. The ship's hull met the jagged edge of a hidden reef with a thunderous, grinding impact. The sound echoed across the water, a warning lost to the night. The coral tore through the Pandora's wooden planks, opening wounds that the sea was quick to exploit. Water surged into the lower decks, flooding the ship's heart with icy inevitability. The Pandora began to founder, its proud silhouette sinking lower as the ocean claimed its prize. The ship's timbers groaned and splintered, surrendering to the relentless pressure of the rising tide. Above deck, chaos reigned. The ship listed sharply, its masts tilting toward the churning sea. The deck became a stage for panic as the Pandora's fate hung in the balance. Lifeboats were hastily lowered into the black water, their hulls buffeted by waves and wind. The night was alive with the sound of splintering wood and the roar of the surf. Deep within the ship, the wooden cell, Pandora's box, remained locked, its iron fittings straining against the rising water. The sea crept higher, swirling around the base of the cell, relentless and cold. The cell's interior became a prison within a prison, as the water lapped at the rough planks and the air grew thick with fear. The ocean, indifferent to the fate of those within, pressed ever upward. The cell's bars, once a symbol of order, now became a barrier between life and the open sea. The water rose inexorably, filling the confined space with the chill of the deep. In the final moments, the lock on the cell was forced open, the iron shank twisted and broken in a desperate bid for freedom. The cell door swung wide, but for many escape came too late. As dawn broke, the Pandora slipped beneath the waves, leaving only scattered debris and the silent witness of the sea. The wreck claimed 35 souls, their stories lost to the depths. For nearly 2 centuries, the Pandora lay undisturbed on the ocean floor, its timbers slowly succumbing to the embrace of the reef. In 1977, the wreck was rediscovered, its outline preserved in the silt and sand of the seabed. Archaeological exploration revealed a treasure trove of artifacts, cannons, anchors, and the everyday objects of life at sea. Each item, encrusted with coral and time, told a fragment of the Pandora's story. Among the relics, a single padlock was found, its metal corroded, its mechanism broken. This simple object, lying in the sand, hinted at the desperate struggle that unfolded as the ship went down. The padlock, open and battered, remains a silent testament to the final moments aboard the Pandora, a symbol of hope, struggle, and the relentless power of the sea. Today, the Pandora's remains are more than just scattered timbers and rusted iron. They are a time capsule, sealed by the ocean, preserving the memory of a ship and the secrets it carried. Within the wreck, the cell known as Pandora's box endures, its wooden frame still visible through the silt. Here, in the silent depths, the story of the Pandora lives on, a haunting reminder of the ocean's power to conceal, preserve, and reveal the deepest secrets of the past. The story of a shipwreck does not end when it settles on the sea floor. In the vast, restless Pacific, the ocean's embrace is anything but gentle or final. Here the deep is alive with movement, and the fate of a sunken vessel is written and rewritten by the forces that rule these waters. Long after a ship succumbs to the waves, the same relentless powers that claimed it continue their assault. Decades, even centuries later, the Pacific's currents and tempests gnaw at the wreck, reshaping its form and its resting place. The ocean floor is not a silent graveyard. Instead, it is a shifting, dynamic world where water and earth are in constant conversation. Swirling currents sweep across the seabed, stirring up clouds of sand and silt, while marine life weaves through the ruins, adding to the ever-changing tapestry. Above, the surface is often a cauldron of violence. Storms rage, their energy transmitted downwards in the form of surging waves and powerful underwater turbulence. Each tempest leaves its mark, sculpting the landscape below. Among the most formidable of these forces are cyclones, colossal engines of wind and water, unique to the Pacific in their scale and ferocity. These storms, known elsewhere as hurricanes or typhoons, are born from the ocean's own heat, gathering strength as they spiral across the sea. As a cyclone approaches, the ocean's surface is whipped into a frenzy. Towering waves, sometimes reaching heights of over 15 meters, crash down with unimaginable force. Beneath, the water churns, creating underwater shockwaves that ripple through the depths. The energy unleashed is so immense that it can physically shift the seabed itself. Shipwrecks, once thought to be immovable, are sometimes wrenched from their resting places, dragged across the sand, or even flipped by the sheer power of the storm. The wreck of the SS Yongala stands as a testament to these forces. For a century it lay undisturbed, a silent witness to the ocean's moods. For decades the ship rested in tranquil darkness, its steel hull slowly succumbing to rust and marine growth, a monument to a bygone era. But in 2011 the Pacific gave birth to a monster, Cyclone Yasi. This superstorm, a swirling mass of wind and water, barreled across the ocean, its path marked by satellite as it grew in strength and size. Yasi reached Category 5, the highest classification, with winds exceeding 250 kilometers per hour. As it made landfall, the coastline was battered, but the true drama unfolded beneath the waves. In the aftermath, the ocean floor bore the scars of the cyclone's passage. The energy from the storm had been transmitted downward, stirring up sediment and shifting the very contours of the seabed. Sonar scans revealed the astonishing truth. The Yongala, a steel giant over 100 meters long, had been moved. The seabed around it was transformed, new channels carved by the storm's fury. The ship's position had shifted, and the sand that once cradled it was swept away, exposing new sections of the wreck and burying others. Comparing sonar images from before and after the cyclone, the changes were unmistakable. The wreck had not only moved, but its structure had been altered by the relentless pressure of the waves. The immense weight of water, driven by the storm, had pressed down with such force that the entire ship was shifted, its steel hull groaning under the strain. The hull itself, once a marvel of engineering, was bent and twisted anew, a fresh wound inflicted a century after the ship's demise. Even the heaviest, most solid objects are no match for the Pacific's fury. The ocean's power is absolute, its reach inescapable. A shipwreck is not a final resting place, but a participant in a never-ending dance of destruction and renewal. Sand and currents swirl around it, debris shifts, and the landscape is constantly remade. Cyclones are not the only architects of this underwater world. The Pacific's shifting seabed is shaped by a multitude of forces, each leaving its signature on the landscape. Deep beneath the surface, tectonic plates grind and shift. When they move, the result is an underwater earthquake, sending shockwaves through the water and sometimes spawning tsunamis that race across the ocean at jetliner speeds. These seismic events can trigger underwater landslides of staggering scale. Millions of tons of sand and mud can be set in motion, tumbling down submarine canyons and reshaping the seafloor in moments. A shipwreck caught in the path of such an avalanche can be buried in an instant, disappearing beneath layers of sediment, lost to the world above. Or it may be swept up and carried away, transported miles from its original resting place by the unstoppable flow of water and debris. In this ever-changing world, the past is never truly at rest. The Pacific's deep secrets are written in shifting sand and twisted steel, in the silent testimony of shipwrecks that continue their journey long after they have sunk from sight. For generations, the Great Barrier Reef has been imagined as a realm of serene beauty, a gentle tapestry of life woven over countless millennia. We envision a tranquil underwater garden, where corals slowly build their intricate structures, layer by delicate layer, in a world seemingly untouched by chaos. Yet, beneath this calm facade, the Pacific conceals a landscape shaped by forces of unimaginable violence, an ancient battleground where the very earth has been torn asunder. The seafloor, once thought to be a gentle slope, is revealed as a world of jagged scars and deep chasms, mapped in breathtaking detail by the silent language of sonar. Here, the ocean's bed is not a smooth plain, but a chaotic expanse marked by the aftermath of cataclysmic upheavals, vast canyons, towering cliffs, and the remnants of ancient landslides. The contrast is stark. Above, a living tapestry of coral and colour. Below, a realm of violence frozen in stone, where the scars of disaster are etched into the very foundation of the reef. Sonar maps unveil a hidden world of immense, awe-inspiring features. Canyons that plunge into darkness, their walls rising like the ramparts of a sunken fortress. Over 100 colossal canyons are carved into the edge of the continental shelf, each one a testament to the relentless power of geological forces. These are not mere gullies, but yawning chasms, some nearly twice as deep as the Grand Canyon, where the earth has been split open by ancient cataclysms. The scars that mark this landscape are the remnants of Titanic landslides, where entire mountainsides of the seafloor have sheared away in a single devastating moment. These were not slow, gentle erosions, but sudden, violent collapses, catastrophic events that reshaped the very contours of the ocean's floor in the blink of a geological eye. In these moments, billions of tons of rock and sediment thundered downwards, plunging into the abyss and sending shock waves through the deep, dark waters of the Coral Sea. The evidence of these ancient disasters rewrites the story of the reef, revealing a past shaped not by gentle growth, but by cycles of destruction and rebirth. The landscape tells a tale of unimaginable violence, of a world repeatedly torn apart and rebuilt by the raw, unyielding power of the earth itself. The calm blue waters above are but a thin veil, concealing a history of turmoil and upheaval that lies just beneath the surface. These discoveries force us to reconcile two worlds, the delicate living coral that flourishes above, and the brutal, scarred foundation that supports it. A foundation forged in violence. The reef is not merely a sanctuary of life, but a monument to survival, a geological battleground where beauty and chaos are forever entwined. The violent past of this hidden landscape shapes the present as the complex topography channels powerful currents and stirs the waters above. The unpredictable contours of the seabed, sculpted by ancient landslides and collapses, create swirling eddies and shifting flows, an ever-changing maze beneath the waves. The very features that make this landscape so dramatic, its hidden canyons, its sheer drop-offs, continue to shape the fate of all that dwells above and within. These chasms and cliffs are not merely relics of the past, they are living parts of the reef's story, making the Great Barrier Reef both a cradle of life and a realm forever marked by the violence of the earth. The Great Barrier. Reef's saga is a tale written in the language of time itself, a story not of simple, steady growth, but of epic cycles of creation, destruction and renewal, all orchestrated by the planet's ancient rhythms. Deep within the limestone heart of the reef, layer upon layer of ancient coral skeletons lie stacked, each one a silent witness to a vanished world. These fossilized remains, like the rings of a mighty tree, record the passage of eons, each band a chapter in the reef's long and tumultuous history. The evidence they hold is astonishing. Over the last 600,000 years, the Great Barrier Reef has vanished and been reborn at least 6 times. Each disappearance marks a cataclysmic transformation, a moment when the living reef was swept away by forces far greater than itself. These transformations were driven by the coming and going of the ice ages. When the world grew cold, vast glaciers crept across the continents, locking away the ocean's water and causing sea levels to plummet. As the seas retreated, the once submerged reef was left stranded, exposed to the harsh glare of the sun and the dry winds that swept across the empty plain. The vibrant underwater gardens, teeming with life, withered and died. The corals, unable to survive in the open air, became sun-bleached skeletons, their intricate forms slowly crumbling into dust. Where once there had been a bustling metropolis of colour and movement, only a barren limestone plain remained, stretching as far as the eye could see, a silent graveyard for the reef's lost generations. Over time, the exposed seabed was sculpted by wind and rain into rolling hills and winding valleys, merging seamlessly with the ancient Australian mainland. The memory of the reef lingered only in the bones it left behind. For thousands of years, this landscape remained lifeless and still, a world without coral, where the sun-bleached skeletons of the past whispered of what once was. Yet this was not the end. The planet's great cycles continued, and with each new age the stage was set for another act in the reef's ongoing drama. Over immense spans of time, the world would warm again, and the glaciers would begin to melt. As the ice retreated, the oceans swelled, and the sea crept slowly back across the parched coastal plains, flooding the ancient river valleys and climbing the limestone hills that had once been the reef's foundation. The returning waters transformed the landscape once more, submerging the old bones of the reef beneath a blanket of clear, sunlit sea. In these new, gentle waters, the conditions became perfect for life to return. The temperature, the depth, the clarity, all aligned to invite the reef's rebirth. Tiny coral larvae, carried by the ocean's currents, drifted in from distant places. They settled on the submerged remnants of the ancient reef, anchoring themselves to the limestone and beginning the slow work of rebuilding. Over centuries and millennia, these pioneers multiplied, growing upwards and outwards, reaching for the sunlight that filtered down from above. Gradually, a new reef took shape, layer by living layer, until once again the Great Barrier Reef flourished in all its vibrant glory. This cycle of death and rebirth has played out countless times, each chapter shaped by the slow, relentless forces of nature. The reef's history is one of resilience and transformation, a testament to the power of life to endure and adapt. Again and again the reef has collapsed, only to rise anew from the ruins, each time more intricate and diverse than before. The most recent of these great transformations began around 20,000 years ago, as the last ice age loosened its grip and the world entered a new era of warmth and rising seas. The advancing ocean drowned the old coastal plains, and on the submerged hills and valleys, the modern Great Barrier Reef began its latest chapter, blossoming into the living wonder we see today. The reef's story is not one of stasis, but of constant change. A living entity, forever shaped by the tides of time, the pulse of the planet, and the endless dance of creation and renewal. The story of the rising seas along Australia's ancient coasts is written not only in stone and sand, but in the very fabric of the land itself. Long before the world as we know it, the continent's edges stretched far beyond today's familiar shorelines. The air was cooler, the seas lower, and vast plains, now hidden beneath the Pacific's blue expanse, teemed with life. In those distant times, the land was a patchwork of arid grasslands, winding rivers and freshwater lakes. The Great Barrier Reef, now a vibrant underwater world, was once a sunlit plain, its soil cracked and dry, its horizon marked by the silhouettes of ancient trees. Rivers carved their way through the earth, nourishing wildflowers and reeds, while tidal pools sparkled in the morning light, alive with darting fish and the gentle swirl of sea foam. As the last ice age loosened its grip, the world began to warm. Glaciers melted, and the oceans, once held back by the cold, began their slow, relentless advance. The coastline shifted year after year as saltwater crept over grassy plains, flooding forests and transforming freshwater rivers into tidal estuaries. Mangrove roots, once anchored in firm soil, found themselves exposed to the briny tides, while delicate wildflowers clung to the eroding cliffs, their petals trembling in the wind. The land itself bore witness to this transformation. Red earth crumbled at the water's edge. Shells and fossilized coral emerged from ancient mud, and the bones of long-vanished creatures were revealed by the restless waves. Storm surges battered rocky headlands, driftwood tangled in seaweed, and the thunder of distant storms echoed across the flooded lowlands. In the quiet moments between tides, the landscape told stories of change and adaptation. Tidal pools formed where forests once stood, their surfaces glinting in the sunlight. River deltas merged with the sea, sandbars shifted with the currents, and the moon cast its silver light over submerged plains, where the ghosts of ancient forests lingered beneath the waves. The rising seas did not erase the memory of what came before. On rocky islands, once the highest peaks of a vanished plain, stone arrangements and weathered artifacts remained, silent witnesses to a world transformed. Lichen crept across petroglyphs carved into stone, rainwater traced the cracks of ancient engravings, and the wind carried the scent of salt and earth across the ever-changing shore. Even as the ocean claimed the land, the environment adapted. New habitats emerged. Mangrove forests flourished in brackish water, tidal flats teemed with life, and coral reefs began to grow where grasslands had once stretched to the horizon. The interplay of land and sea created a mosaic of ecosystems, each shaped by the ebb and flow of the tides. The story of the rising seas is a story of resilience, of landscapes transformed, of ancient memories etched into stone and sand, and of a world that endures, ever-changing, beneath the watchful gaze of the Pacific sky. In every tide, every shifting shoreline, the legacy of the past is preserved, waiting to be discovered in the patterns of the land and the rhythm of the waves. Beyond the dangers of the reef, the Pacific Ocean stretches out as a realm of untamed power, a vast expanse that has both shaped and shattered the ambitions of empires. Here, the notorious Ring of Fire encircles the ocean, a reminder that beneath these waters, the Earth itself is restless. This immense horseshoe-shaped zone marks the collision of tectonic plates where the planet's crust buckles and heaves. Volcanoes erupt with primal force, and earthquakes ripple through the deep, reshaping the seafloor in moments of unimaginable violence. The raw geological power of the Pacific has sculpted its depths into a graveyard for ships. Over centuries, countless vessels, wooden and steel alike, have been claimed by storms, volcanic eruptions, and the shifting seabed. The ocean's fury is relentless, and its memory is long. In these waters, the might of nature and the ambitions of nations have collided. Warships, once symbols of power and pride, have been humbled by typhoons and tsunamis, their steel hulls twisted and broken by forces far greater than any weapon. Among these giants was the Yamato, the largest and most formidable battleship ever constructed. Designed to rule the waves, she was a floating fortress, her armour and firepower unmatched in her time. Her main guns, the largest ever mounted on a warship, could hurl shells across the horizon. Yet, even this Titan was dwarfed by the scale and unpredictability of the Pacific. In April 1945, Yamato embarked on her final voyage, a desperate mission through storm-lashed seas. The ocean, indifferent to human conflict, heaved and roared beneath her as she pressed toward Okinawa, a last stand against overwhelming odds. The age of the battleship was ending. Above the waves, the sky darkened with the approach of a new kind of power, aircraft, swift and deadly, casting shadows over the old giants of the sea. Swarms of carrier planes descended, their payloads raining down with merciless precision. The ocean erupted in fire and steel, the surface torn by explosions and the thunder of collapsing armour. Yamato, crippled and ablaze, was battered by the relentless assault. Fire swept her decks and the sea around her boiled with the fury of battle. Then a torpedo struck her magazine. The resulting explosion was cataclysmic, a blast so immense it split the super battleship in two, sending a mushroom cloud towering into the sky and echoing across the empty sea. In moments, the ocean reclaimed her. The wreckage drifted and sank, vanishing beneath the waves, leaving only a slick of oil and scattered debris as silent testimony to her passing. Today the Yamato rests on the seafloor, her once proud hull now a rusting relic, slowly consumed by the ocean's embrace. The Pacific, patient and eternal, erases the scars of war with the slow work of time and tide. Elsewhere in the Pacific, the USS Indianapolis sailed on a secret mission, her fate sealed not by battle but by the vast, indifferent ocean itself. After delivering the components of a weapon that would change history, she was struck by torpedoes from the depths. The sea, calm and silent, became a sudden grave for the mighty cruiser. In just 12 minutes the Indianapolis was gone, swallowed by the Pacific. The ocean closed over her, erasing all trace of her passage. The true terror of the Pacific is not always in the violence of the sinking, but in the silence that follows. The vastness of the ocean is both a sanctuary and a prison, indifferent to the fate of ships and men alike. In the aftermath, the world above remained unaware. The Pacific, immense and inscrutable, kept its secrets hidden beneath the waves. For days the ocean was a merciless expanse, its surface broken only by drifting wreckage and the silent passage of predators below. When rescue finally arrived, the Pacific had already claimed its due. The survivors were few, the silence of the ocean unbroken by their ordeal. The story of the Indianapolis is a tale of endurance and loss, played out beneath a sky that stretches forever over an ocean that remembers everything and forgives nothing. Today, the wrecks of these warships rest in the deep, silent witnesses to the fury of the Pacific. Their rusting hulks are monuments to the ocean's power, a reminder that in this vast, unforgiving realm, even the mightiest creations of humankind are ultimately claimed by the sea. The Pacific Ocean stretches beyond the horizon, a boundless expanse of blue that has guarded its mysteries for millions of years. Its surface, ever-shifting and restless, conceals a world of astonishing complexity and wonder beneath. Beneath the waves, the remains of ancient vessels rest in silence, their hulls now transformed into living reefs. Coral and anemones claim the twisted metal, while schools of fish dart through the shadows, weaving new life from the remnants of the past. The seafloor itself is a vast, uncharted wilderness. Sonar reveals jagged mountain ranges, yawning trenches, and volcanic ridges that rise from the abyss. In these unexplored realms, darkness reigns, and the pressure is immense, yet life persists in forms both alien and beautiful. Beams of artificial light cut through the blackness, illuminating forests of glass sponges and fields of tube worms. Here in the cold and crushing depths, creatures have evolved to thrive in perpetual night, their bodies glowing with bioluminescence, signalling and hunting in the dark. The Pacific is a realm of shifting moods, at times tranquil, at others shrouded in fog and mystery. Its surface reflects the changing sky, but its true stories lie hidden far below. In the deep, the search for lost relics is a silent, ongoing process. Currents sweep over forgotten wrecks and sediment slowly buries the evidence of ancient journeys, preserving secrets for millennia. Somewhere in these waters, the remains of legendary explorers and their vessels lie undisturbed. The Pacific's vastness ensures that some mysteries, like the fate of vanished aircraft, remain unresolved, their stories whispered only by the tides. Ancient trading ships, Spanish galleons heavy with treasure, and the shattered hulls of warships from forgotten battles rest on the ocean floor. Over centuries, their timbers have become encrusted with barnacles and cloaked in silt, their secrets locked away in the deep. Each discovery beneath the waves is a revelation, a new chapter in the Pacific's epic saga. Artifacts preserved in the cold darkness offer glimpses into lost worlds and the relentless passage of time. The search for these relics is driven by the ocean's own currents and the slow, patient work of nature. Over eons, the Pacific reclaims and transforms all that enters its domain. Yet the Pacific's mysteries are not only relics of the past. Its present is equally enigmatic, shaped by swirling currents and shifting tectonic plates. At the ocean's deepest points, hydrothermal vents spew mineral-rich clouds into the water, creating oases of life in the darkness. Here, chemical energy replaces sunlight, fueling ecosystems that defy imagination. In these hidden canyons, new species emerge, creatures with translucent bodies, luminous organs and adaptations found nowhere else on Earth. Their existence hints at the origins of life itself and perhaps the possibility of life beyond our planet. The Pacific's power is immense. Along its fault lines, the Earth trembles, unleashing earthquakes and tsunamis that reshape coastlines and alter the course of history. These forces, both creative and destructive, are written in the very rocks beneath the sea. The ocean floor is a vast archive, its layers of sediment recording the rise and fall of climates, the extinction of species and the birth of new worlds. Each core sample is a time capsule, preserving the story of Earth's ever-changing face. In the immensity of the Pacific, even the largest creatures are dwarfed by the scale of the sea. The ocean's vastness is a humbling reminder of the planet's ancient power and enduring mystery. Here, beauty and violence coexist. Coral reefs burst with colour and life, while storms unleash towering waves and thunderous winds. Whales breach the surface, their songs echoing through the water, a testament to the ocean's living pulse. The Pacific stories are written in the language of tides and currents, in the rise and fall of islands, and in the silent drift of ancient wrecks. Its lessons are those of resilience, adaptation, and the relentless forces that shape the world. As the ocean's depths are revealed, new wonders come to light, strange landscapes, unknown species, and the ever-present possibility of discovery. Each revelation deepens the mystery, reminding us that the Pacific's final secrets may never be fully known. The great blue ocean endures, its surface shimmering beneath the sun, its depths holding secrets that will inspire awe for generations to come. Beneath the vast surface of the Pacific, the ocean floor plunges into darkness, carving out some of the deepest trenches on Earth. Here, sunlight never penetrates, and the pressure is so immense that only the hardiest forms of life endure. The Mariana Trench, Challenger Deep and Tonga Trench are names whispered with awe, monumental scars in the planet's crust, plunging miles below the waves. These trenches are shaped by titanic forces. Tectonic plates collide and slide beneath one another, forging underwater valleys deeper than any canyon on land. The walls of these chasms are jagged and steep, cloaked in silt and shadow. Hydrothermal vents spew clouds of minerals, painting the landscape in ghostly hues of white and orange. In this perpetual night, life takes forms both bizarre and beautiful. Giant amphipods crawl along the seafloor, their pale bodies translucent against the blackness. Strange, gelatinous creatures drift by, snailfish with bodies so delicate they would collapse at the surface, and anglerfish whose glowing lures beckon prey from the darkness. Microbial mats cover the rocks, thriving on chemical energy in a world without sunlight. These realms are largely unexplored, their secrets hidden by crushing depths and technological limits. Each sonar scan and remote glimpse reveals new wonders, towering mud volcanoes, shimmering brine pools, and fields of manganese nodules that have gathered over millions of years. The silence here is total, broken only by the distant rumble of shifting rocks and the slow, patient drift of deep currents. No human has set foot in these places. The stories of the trenches are told only by the creatures who live there and the ancient rocks that bear witness to the planet's restless evolution. As we peer into the abyss, we are reminded of how much remains unknown, the Pacific's deepest realms, a final frontier of mystery and transformation, waiting in silence beneath the waves. Beneath the tranquil surface of the Pacific, a fiery realm shapes the very foundation of the ocean floor. Here, underwater volcanoes, also known as sea mounts, rise from the abyssal plains, forming a vast hidden mountain range that stretches for thousands of miles. These volcanic giants are born from molten rock, forced upward by powerful currents of magma seeping through cracks in the Earth's crust. The Pacific Ring of Fire is the most volcanically active region on the planet, a horseshoe-shaped belt where tectonic plates collide and slide past each other. As these plates shift, pressure builds deep below the seafloor. Eventually this pressure finds release, and magma bursts through, creating new volcanoes in a spectacular display of geological force. When an eruption occurs far beneath the waves, it plays out in slow motion. Superheated lava oozes from vents, cooling rapidly as it meets the icy seawater. This process forms pillow-like shapes of basalt, slowly piling up to create underwater mountains. Over time, some seamounts grow tall enough to break the surface, becoming islands or atolls, while others remain forever hidden in the depths. These volcanoes do more than build mountains. They create unique habitats, supporting vibrant ecosystems in the darkness. Hydrothermal vents, born from volcanic activity, spew mineral-rich fluids that nourish colonies of tube worms, clams, and countless microbial species. Here, life thrives without sunlight, relying instead on the chemical energy released from the Earth itself. Volcanic eruptions also play a crucial role in shaping the chemistry of the ocean. They release gases like carbon dioxide and sulfur, which interact with seawater and influence global cycles of nutrients and climate. Over millions of years, the relentless birth and erosion of these volcanoes have sculpted the Pacific Basin, creating new landforms and reshaping coastlines with every eruption. In this perpetual dance of fire and water, the Pacific's underwater volcanoes remain largely unseen, hidden architects of the ocean's ever-changing landscape. They remind us that even in the planet's most remote and silent depths, powerful forces are at work, shaping the world beneath the waves. Far below the reach of sunlight, where the Pacific's underwater volcanoes breathe heat into the abyss, a world unlike any other thrives. Around hydrothermal vents, cracks in the sea floor where superheated mineral-rich water gushes out, life has found astonishing ways to survive in absolute darkness. Here, the water can reach temperatures of over 350 degrees Celsius, saturated with chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, methane, and dissolved metals. In this hostile environment, the familiar rules of life are rewritten. Instead of drawing energy from sunlight, these communities rely on chemosynthesis, a process where bacteria convert chemicals from the vent fluids into energy. These chemosynthetic bacteria form the base of a unique food web. They coat the rocks in shimmering mats, providing nourishment for an array of creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Giant tube worms, their white bodies tipped with blood-red plumes, anchor themselves near the vents, lacking mouths or digestive tracts. Instead, they harbour bacteria within their tissues, sharing in the chemical bounty. Nearby, ghostly crabs, translucent shrimp and armoured snails scuttle across the mineral-encrusted landscape, each adapted to withstand crushing pressure, toxic chemicals and extreme heat. The chemistry of these vents shapes every aspect of life here. Metal sulfides precipitate out of the vent fluids, building towering chimneys called black smokers. Around these columns, life clings to existence, enduring not only temperature swings but also bursts of toxic gas and earthquakes that can reshape the terrain in an instant. Despite the challenges, these ecosystems are vibrant and dynamic. Species evolve rapidly, developing unique adaptations to survive in ever-changing conditions. Over time, as vents cool and die, new ones emerge, and the cycle of life begins again, an endless testament to resilience and ingenuity. In the silence of the Pacific's deep hydrothermal vents are islands of abundance. They remind us that even in the most alien and inhospitable corners of our planet, life finds a way, not just to survive, but to flourish. Beneath the rolling waves of the Pacific, countless creatures undertake epic journeys, tracing invisible highways that span thousands of miles. These migrations are among nature's greatest spectacles, driven by ancient instincts and the planet's ever-changing rhythms. Every year, humpback whales leave the icy feeding grounds of the Antarctic, navigating by the stars and the Earth's magnetic field to reach the warm, sheltered waters near the equator. Here they breed and nurse their young before returning south, their haunting songs echoing across the ocean's vast expanse. Meanwhile, leatherback turtles, some of the ocean's oldest mariners, embark on odysseys from distant nesting beaches to rich feeding grounds, crossing entire ocean basins with unerring precision. Guided by chemical cues, ocean currents and the subtle pull of the moon, they swim for months, braving storms and predators along the way. Schools of tuna, shimmering like silver rivers, sweep across the Pacific in search of food, their powerful bodies built for speed and endurance. They follow the shifting boundaries between warm and cold water, their journeys mapped by the seasons and the mysterious pulse of El Niño and La Niña. Even the smallest travellers, planktonic larvae, drift with the currents, riding vast gyres that connect distant reefs and islands. Their migrations ensure the survival of countless species, knitting together the Pacific's far-flung ecosystems. These great movements are shaped by natural forces, the waxing and waning of the moon, the surge of tides, the dance of ocean currents, and the changing climate. In the Pacific, migration is more than a journey. It is a lifeline, a story written in salt water and starlight, connecting every corner of this immense blue wilderness. Beneath the turquoise surface of the Pacific, vibrant coral reefs once flourished, living rainforests of the sea, teeming with colour and life. But now, an unprecedented threat looms, invisible yet relentless climate change. As global temperatures rise, the Pacific's waters grow warmer, pushing corals to the edge of survival. When the heat becomes too intense, corals expel the tiny algae that give them both colour and energy. This process, known as bleaching, transforms bustling reefs into ghostly white skeletons. Without their algae partners, corals weaken and entire ecosystems tremble on the brink of collapse. Bleaching events are becoming more frequent and severe, leaving less time for recovery. Ocean acidification, another effect of rising carbon dioxide, makes it harder for corals to build their skeletons, slowing growth and inviting disease. Yet even in crisis, the reef's story is not one of simple loss. Some corals adapt, shifting their alliances with hardier algae or migrating to cooler, deeper waters. Fish and invertebrate communities change, some species departing while others take advantage of new opportunities. The reef transforms, a patchwork of resilience and vulnerability. In the Pacific's changing seas, the fate of coral reefs remains uncertain. Their future hinges on the delicate balance between destruction and adaptation, a race against time written in the language of heat, light and survival. For now, the reefs endure, fragile, beautiful and ever-changing, their silent struggle echoing through the endless blue. Beneath the restless waves of the Pacific, where sunlight fades and the world turns blue, the ocean floor conceals a secret realm. Vast underwater caves and winding labyrinths carved over millennia. These hidden corridors are born from the slow dance of water and stone, seawater dissolving ancient limestone, volcanic eruptions creating hollow tubes, shifting tectonic plates opening rifts deep beneath the surface. Inside, darkness is absolute. Here the walls glisten with mineral deposits, and narrow passages stretch for miles, twisting into unfathomable depths. The silence is broken only by the soft drip of mineral-rich water and the faint pulse of distant currents. Yet, even in this eternal night, life endures. Blind shrimp and translucent fish drift through the inky water, navigating by touch and taste. Strange, ghostly crabs scuttle across the cave floor, while colonies of bacteria cling to the rocks, thriving on minerals instead of sunlight. Delicate stalactites and stalagmites reach toward each other, forming natural sculptures in the gloom. Many of these caves remain unexplored, their true extent and secrets hidden from the world above. Some are ancient time capsules, preserving the bones of long-extinct creatures and clues to the ocean's distant past. Others are living laboratories, where evolution writes new stories in the darkness. In the Pacific's underwater labyrinths, the familiar rules of life are rewritten. Here, in the silent embrace of stone and water, the ocean's most enigmatic creatures remind us that even in the deepest shadows, the spark of life endures, adaptable, mysterious, and forever seeking a way through the endless maze. Beneath the surface of the Pacific, a silent force is constantly at work. Powerful ocean currents, the invisible architects shaping the destiny of this vast marine world. These currents, vast rivers within the sea, are driven by a complex interplay of wind, Earth's rotation, temperature and salinity. The mighty north and south equatorial currents sweep westward, carrying warm waters from the Americas toward Asia, while the Kuroshio and East Australian currents form churning highways along the coasts. As these moving waters travel thousands of miles, they regulate the Pacific's temperature, distribute vital nutrients, and influence weather patterns across continents. Cold, nutrient-rich upwellings rise from the abyss, fueling blooms of plankton, the foundation of the marine food chain. Migratory species, from tiny larvae to great whales, rely on these currents to guide their epic journeys and sustain their lives. The Pacific Decadal Oscillation and El Niño Southern Oscillation are powerful examples of how currents can shift, altering rainfall, fisheries, and even the fate of coral reefs. These vast movements of water connect distant ecosystems, linking coral atolls with deep-sea trenches, and shaping the diversity of life found nowhere else on Earth. Yet the currents are not constant. Changing climate is already altering their strength and direction, threatening delicate balances that have endured for millennia. As scientists deploy drifting buoys, satellites and underwater gliders, they unravel the secrets of these unseen forces, seeking to understand how the Pacific's heartbeat shapes not just the ocean, but the world itself. In the endless sweep of the Pacific, ocean currents remain its lifeblood, a silent, ceaseless dance that sculpts the environment, sustains life, and reminds us of the profound connectivity of the blue planet. As night falls across the vast Pacific, a hidden world awakens, one that glows, shimmers, and pulses with otherworldly light. Here, in the inky darkness of the open sea, bioluminescent organisms transform the ocean into a living galaxy, from the tiniest plankton drifting near the surface to enigmatic deep-sea dwellers lurking in the abyss. Countless creatures possess the remarkable ability to produce light. This natural glow is born from a delicate dance of chemistry, enzymes and proteins combining within specialized cells to emit gentle blues and greens, the wavelengths that travel farthest in water. Dinoflagellates, microscopic drifters, ignite waves with sparkling trails as unseen currents stir them. Swarms of jellyfish pulse and undulate, painting luminous ribbons through the gloom. Deeper still, lanternfish and hatchetfish flash secret signals, using light to communicate, attract mates, or confuse lurking predators. Some, like the dazzling siphonophores, create vast chains of glowing bodies, weaving threads of light through the blackness. Others wield their radiance as camouflage, counter-illuminating their bodies to vanish against the faint light above. In the perpetual midnight of the trenches, eerie anglerfish dangle glowing lures to entice the curious and the unsuspecting. Bioluminescence is more than spectacle. It is survival. It is a language, a shield, a hunting tool, and a beacon in a world without sun. These living lights reveal the astonishing adaptability of Pacific life, thriving in realms where darkness reigns. Together they create a nightly display more dazzling than any starry sky, a reminder that even in the deepest shadows life finds a way to shine. Beneath the shimmering surface and vibrant reefs, the Pacific Ocean guards a secret history, written not in ink, but in stone. Scattered across the ocean floor, embedded in limestone cliffs and cloaked by shifting sands, lie the fossilized remains of creatures that once ruled ancient seas. These are the Pacific's time capsules, ammonites coiled like stone nautiluses, the armored plates of prehistoric turtles, the delicate imprints of coral colonies long extinct. Each fossil is a silent witness to the planet's distant past, a record of vanished worlds, shifting continents, and mass extinctions. Through the lens of science, these ancient relics unlock stories millions of years old. Radiometric dating reveals that some Pacific fossils predate the rise of the dinosaurs, while others mark the aftermath of the asteroid that ended their reign. Microscopic foraminifera, entombed in ocean sediments, map out ice ages and warming spells, tracing the ebb and flow of ancient climates. Fossilized shark teeth speak of apex predators that once patrolled these waters, while coral skeletons track the rise and fall of sea levels with each glacial cycle. These remnants are more than curiosities. They are blueprints for understanding Earth's ever-changing environment. By studying fossilized plankton, scientists reconstruct the chemistry of primordial oceans and the breadth of ancient atmospheres. The Pacific's fossil beds reveal periods of cataclysmic change, volcanic eruptions that clouded the skies, and times when life rebounded in explosive bursts of diversity. Even now, remotely operated vehicles descend into unexplored trenches, discovering new fossil sites and rewriting the story of life on Earth. In the silent company of these ancient stones, we glimpse a planet in perpetual transformation, reminding us that the Pacific is not only a realm of mystery and life, but also a vast living archive of Earth's deep history. Beneath the crushing weight of the Pacific's deepest waters, where sunlight never penetrates and silence should reign, the ocean is alive with strange, unexplainable sounds. These are more than the creaks and groans of shifting tectonic plates. They are eerie signals, powerful hums, and sudden echoing booms that have baffled scientists for decades. One of the most famous is the bloop, a powerful ultra-low-frequency noise captured in 1997 by underwater microphones thousands of kilometers apart. Its source, still debated. Some believe it was caused by the cracking of icebergs, others suggest it was the resonance of a massive undersea creature, one larger than any ever known, though no evidence has ever surfaced. There are the upsweep and the whistle, long drawn-out tones that rise and fall with the seasons, echoing across the Pacific's abyssal plains. Some speculate these are the voices of underwater volcanoes, as magma shifts and vents release superheated gases. Others point to the movement of deep ocean currents or the grinding of submerged mountains along fault lines. In the darkness, hydrophones have recorded metallic clangs, rhythmic pulses, and what sound like distant, unearthly choirs. Each signal paints a picture of a world in constant motion, where geological forces, superheated vents, and the slow drift of continents create a symphony no human ear has ever directly heard. And yet not all these sounds have explanations. Some remain true mysteries. Reminders that the Pacific, even in the age of satellites and deep-sea robots, keeps its secrets close. With every unexplained echo, the ocean reminds us there are still frontiers left to explore and stories waiting to be told in the language of the deep.